My girlfriend is new. I'm divorcing you because she and I will be living here together. You should go stay with your parents." Those words from my spouse cut like a knife, each syllable colder than the last. "What are you saying? This doesn't make sense to me," I replied, still trying to grasp the shocking reality. "I don't need you anymore," he said, his tone devoid of any emotion. "If you want to be the breadwinner or the housewife, Noah, you can do it at your parents' place. I'll leave you with them." The truth of my situation hit me hard. My spouse and in-laws, who had often ridiculed me and belittled my efforts, had now shown their true colors. These people, who I once considered family, had become a source of constant humiliation. Still, a part of me thought, perhaps it's better this way, but deep down, I knew I couldn't let them dictate my life any longer. "Then all of you must leave," I said, firmly planting my feet on the ground of my own convictions. I'm Noah, a 32-year-old office worker who has worked tirelessly since graduating from college. I started out at a large corporation and spent over a decade pouring my energy into my career, earning every bit of respect and every promotion along the way. My relentless efforts paid off, and now, at such a young age, I am proud to hold the position of department manager. I am fortunate to have a boss who can always provide me something of value. I was extremely happy at work, surrounded by smart and driven colleagues. But my personal life was completely unfulfilling. When I was a student, I had a boyfriend, but I haven't had one since I started working. Concerned about my predicament, a friend threw me a dinner party. Matthew and I met there. I had the feeling that he was really pleasant, polite, and had a lovely grin. We also had a lot in common because we were the same age, and it was enjoyable to converse with him. We quickly became friends, shared contact details, and began dining alone together. After that, he was clean about his emotions for me, and we began dating. We ended up getting married after he proposed to me, and we got along wonderfully. I went to his parents' house to greet them shortly after being married, since I was so delighted to be married to the man I loved so much. His folks were incredibly gracious and embraced me. "It's good to meet you, Noah. It's unbelievable that someone so stunning ended up becoming Matthew's bride. The fact that my son brought a decent woman here makes me very proud." "Stop it, Mom and Dad. Noah is growing frightened." "Oh my, you can say that if you truly believe it." "Yes, exactly. It's acceptable since it's a praise." Like him, his parents were quite approachable and pleasant to chat to. "Isn't Noah employed by a large corporation?" "Oh, no? That's fantastic. Being a lady who can work hard is cool. When you get married, will you leave your job?" "No, I will continue to work." "Well, you work for a reputable company and have a good job. It's better that way." I felt a sense of relief. My pals told me that their mother-in-law had ordered them to resign from their position. They claim that they frequently hear that a wife's role is to provide for her husband, so I was relieved. I considered my prospective mother-in-law to be giving. We were married after saying hello to my folks. The prospect of starting a new married life filled my heart with delight. My husband and I began our new married life together when he moved into the house I was residing in. Being wedded to my husband, whom I adore, makes me very happy. Being able to spend all of my time at home with him makes me happy, as does having him around when I get home from work. After 6 months of dating, my spouse indicated he needed to talk to me about something. "I would prefer you to live with my mother and father if that is okay with you." "You mean to say that they live together?" "Indeed. Kids are growing older, and I have a lot of concerns." "I understand. I can definitely relate to my husband's feelings. I have nothing to worry about because my brother and his wife presently live with my parents, who are roughly the same age as my husband's parents. But it makes sense that my spouse worries about his parents, because he is the only child." "Does this imply that my in-laws are our new home?" "It would indeed." "However, do they have a room for us?" "For whatever reason, they use every room." "Regarding that, if you don't mind, I believe it would be wise to remodel my parents' home and turn it into a 2-family home." "2 households?" "Yes, it will be far less expensive to accomplish that than to purchase a new home." "Isn't it possible for us to live in a lovely, roomy home and still be private?" "I understand. It was, in my opinion, a compelling idea. We won't always be together, but my in-laws are really nice. It would be less stressful if we lived in 2 homes. That's okay, yes. Really? Thank you. My parents will be overjoyed. Seeing my hubby so content made me joyful. My in-laws were quite appreciative when they visited us later. I even reasoned that I wouldn't mind not having 2 households because my family is so nice and happy. My husband and I talked about renovating my in-laws' home shortly after that. It would cost about $100,000. But my spouse said something unexpected when we were talking about it. I actually need your help with something. Are you able to cover the remodeling costs? Are you referring to the entire sum? So why? My spouse appeared somewhat uneasy. We're actually in debt. I was taken aback. Neither my spouse nor my in-laws had ever made such a statement during our courtship or marriage. I was taken aback. What is the amount of their debt? Roughly $150,000. What? I was shocked by the amount of money and ended myself yelling aloud because I had assumed it would be a few tens of thousands of dollars. At first it wasn't so horrible, but it escalated over time, and I couldn't repay it no matter how hard I tried. My folks already receive a pension. The debt is growing, and I am unable to repay them as much as I would like. I understand. I couldn't conceal how shocked and dismayed I was by the abrupt and startling revelation. I was unaware of how much money my parents-in-law owed me. I need a favor, Noah. You assist me in repaying my father and father-in-law, Will. They are no longer able to afford it, and my pay is also not very excellent. Then, renovating the house and living as 2 families together will be difficult, won't it? No, that's crucial, so let's proceed as scheduled. You've asked me to cover your father's debt and the remodeling. I am aware that I owe $250,000. I'm talking about tough topics, but I want to protect my parents and take care of my life with Noah. It's because I adore Noah and my parents. I apologize. Please aid me if you truly love me, even though I'm being greedy. I'll gradually reimburse you. I was in a terrible mood. I realized that my spouse truly loved me and he is the only one my in-laws and husband can turn to. However, I was totally duped by my husband's statements at the time. I believe that love is blind, and it is just that. All right, I'll cover the cost. I consented to do so. After saying, "Thank you so much," my spouse shook my hand and expressed his gratitude. After he told my parents-in-law, they visited our home and expressed their regret to me. My mother-in-law even broke down in tears of happiness. From now on, I have to give it my all. My in-laws' debt had to be assumed, and I was determined to do it. I did have some savings, but I was scared to pay it all at once. I therefore made the decision to use roughly $330,000 of my money for the time being, and subsequently pay the remaining balance in installments. After that, my in-laws came over, and we discussed repayment. I informed my in-laws of the recent installments I had made. I could do anything I wanted, they said. So why don't you deposit the funds straight into the debt payback account? We're not very adept at handling finances, and I'm a little hesitant to send large sums of money. My in-laws nodded when my husband said this. I must admit that moving the funds to my parents-in-law's account and then waiting for them to move it to their repayment account would take a lot of time. Additionally, I would not appreciate it if the money was not transferred in the middle of the process because it was a substantial amount. I thus consented to that. After the discussion was over, my parents-in-law appeared to be rather relieved. The monthly debt collection is no longer a threat to us. That has been somewhat frightening. You two ought to give Noah a genuine thank you. I can't even count the number of times I've thanked you. I am really grateful to you. Many thanks. I'm quite happy that Noah became his wife. No. My in-laws' happiness pleased me. I was a little uneasy, though, since I feared that they may perceive me as a money manager. I wanted to look after my loving husband's family, but I felt a little awful as they delivered those final words. I started making payments with that in mind, and we finished our 2-family home and remodeled our house at the same time. We began residing in a lovely, roomy home together. My husband's eyes glowed at the new home, and my parents-in-law were overjoyed. Cooking in the new system kitchen was enjoyable for me as well, and I was happy that the renovation was complete. Working here is more handy and nearby. I'll have more time to spare if my commute is shorter. I can study effectively during that free time as well. I was putting a lot of effort into paying off my debt during the day. I was a little worried by something, though. In other words, my spouse did not contribute to my debt repayment in any way. He promised to assist me pay off my parents-in-law's debt when I told him about it, but he hasn't even indicated that he will be using his own income to cover it. He told me that his wage was completely insufficient to cover the payment when I brought this up to him previously. My husband has to pay back his debts, but I have no idea how much he makes because he obstinately refused to provide me his pay stubs when I asked him what his take-home pay was. For around a year, I put in a lot of effort to pay off the loan. My parents-in-law inquired about the amount of money I still owed at that point. Yes, you haven't lost that much. If a year has passed, you would be repaying between $10,000 and $155,000 at most. To give you an idea, we repaid about $30,000 this year, leaving about $90,000 left over. My parents-in-law were astonished when I mentioned this. What? Noah, did you repay that much? That's incredible. If you continue at that rate, you will have paid off the loan in roughly 3 years. I can pay it off if I put forth a lot of effort. Many thanks. My in-laws were both thrilled and sobbing. I believed that all the effort had been worthwhile if my husband's parents were content in this way. But a few days later, I ran upon something unexpected. I informed my spouse that I would be arriving home late since I had to work overtime that day. Nevertheless, the work proceeded surprisingly well, and we were able to depart on schedule because several of us had spare hands. I thought I would make dinner for my spouse, so I hurried home as usual. However, my parents-in-law's shoes were there when I opened the front door. The mother-in-law and her family have arrived. Oh my. I headed for the living room because I believed they had something to do. Then I heard my husband and my in-laws discussing something. Matthew, you were correct to wed that woman, weren't you? You performed admirably. That you got a woman with that much money is unbelievable. I became very wary and wooed her after learning that she works for a large corporation. You ought to be more appreciative. You are among those who produced that debt. Oh my. What? However, I have the least. What are you discussing? What was your horse racing budget? You're a bad gambler. We were in the black at times because I occasionally win a jackpot. If you owe $150,000, how can you be in the black? However, if we continue at this pace, we will be able to pay off our debt and get back on track. That's fantastic. She also renovated our home. I have a wonderful wife. Well, once she settles the loan, I'm going to discard her. My parents-in-law and spouse chuckled. For a moment, I was unable to leave the front door because I was so astonished. Once I had calmed down a bit, I yelled, "I'm home!" from the front door as I shut the lock. My spouse and parents-in-law smiled at me as I entered the living room. "Welcome home, Noah. Well done. Well done. We're heading back to our room then. Let's get together for dinner once more." Because I had overheard my parents-in-law's previous chat, I was terrified of their kind grin. Similarly, I was taken aback by this man who was grinning while feigning to be a kind husband. I pondered how I had been attempting to reimburse them. "You mentioned having to work late today, didn't you?" "Yes, I have been working far more than I had anticipated." I therefore made the hasty decision to prepare dinner and arrived home on schedule. He was unaware of that. To keep my husband from noticing what I had done, I did my best to remain composed until supper. I then stayed in my room and sobbed by myself while my spouse was taking a bath. But I wanted to give my husband and in-laws a respite, so I cried as much as I could. I let out all of my tears. I moved swiftly after that. I started getting ready for the divorce and then gradually planned my post-divorce activities. 3 months or so went by. I told my spouse that I had settled my parents-in-law's debt, acting as though I was pleased. My hubby gave me an eye roll. "What? You settled the debt? That $150,000 was expected to be spent over around 3 years, correct?" Although I do have a sizable amount of money saved up, I was hesitant to pay it all off at once. I therefore began deducting a small amount from my savings and wages. However, we were already below $100,000, so I decided it would be best to settle everything at once. "Understand. Do you mind if I check?" I said, and requested to view my bank account. I showed the bank book to my husband. "Yes, that is accurate. The entire $90,000 was paid at once. I could tell that my husband was eager to leave, but he made every effort to hide his excitement. "Whoa, Noah, thank you. This will be a hit with my dads." My husband put his hands on his face and appeared to be crying. But I could tell he was only acting. My parents-in-law also arrived and thanked me shortly after that. "Many thanks. I'm delighted to have met Noah. You resemble God. I wouldn't have been thrilled to go along for the journey if I hadn't known any of this." Despite being duped, I already know the true nature of these individuals, and I only took action because my strategy was ready. My husband asked to talk to me a few days later. My hubby had a solemn expression. "What the devil? I apologize, Noah, but you must go." "What? What are you saying?" I purposely pretended to be astonished. "My girlfriend is new." "What?" "I'm divorcing you and sending you to my parents' house because I'm moving in with her." The surprising statement from Matthew truly caught me off guard. I had overheard our previous talk and knew that my husband would leave me once he had paid off his obligations, but I didn't anticipate his coming out as unfaithful. "After you left me, what did he mean when he asked me to visit his in-laws?" "Well, I'm not sure I get what you're saying." My spouse became irritated when I said this, claiming that I was not at all understanding. "Although I can keep you here as a housekeeper or a breadwinner, I no longer need you." Oh no. Then my in-laws entered through the front door. "Have you told her at last, Matthew?" "Yes, I did tell her, Noah. I wish I had been present at that precise moment. That's the way it is. If you complete the duties for us, you are welcome to visit our home. We will charge you rent, of course." My husband and my in-laws made fun of me. I can only say that they are the worst people I have ever encountered. "Yes, then you must all depart." My remark caused my in-laws to roll their eyes. "What are you discussing? Did you forget? I can easily cover the cost of the renovations on my own. You gave the house my name instead. I am entitled to this residence for that reason. I have the power to choose who gets to stay in the house and who gets kicked out." My remark caused my in-laws' features to turn blue. Then, at last, they recalled the house's title. I was truly taken aback. "I apologize, but you are no longer able to reside here. You will be strangers if we divorce." Oh no! My in-laws understood how serious the issue was. Not wanting to be surpassed by me, however, my husband shot back. "However, you assumed our debt and made the whole payment. It's you who is losing money. We could at least afford a new residence if we were debt-free." "It's accurate. We appreciate you allowing us to dwell in a lovely home while you settle our obligations." That's what my husband and in-laws said. I then informed them of the truth. "I apologize, but I did not settle the remaining $90,000. "What?" "No. However, there was money missing from your bank account. I simply made and transferred that different account around. Thus, the $90,000 debt hasn't altered. I've been making big payments on a regular basis. Thus, I haven't received the collections yet. However, I believe it's time for them to arrive. Therefore, the remaining amount must be paid by you." My in-laws and hubby went white. I then sent a warning to them. "You should pay the alimony, Matthew, since you told me you were having an affair. Additionally, I'll bill your partner for the affair." Oh no. Despite her beauty, she went out with me because I have money and a house. She will leave me if they want alimony. Noah, I don't give a shit about that. I'm sorry. Don't abandon us, please. My in-laws fear that I will leave them, and my husband fears that the cheater will leave him in every aspect. They are despicable parents and kids who are genuinely self-centered. Regardless of what you say, I will no longer interact with any of you. I've listed this house for sale as well. Additionally, I will have you reimburse me for the $60,000 I spent for you through my attorney. Oh no, the loss of everything they owned left the in-laws frozen. Through my attorney, I subsequently requested a divorce and alimony from my husband. I also asked the cheater to pay me alimony. For what I paid my in-laws, I requested $6,000 from them. That remodeled in-law residence really brought in around $200,000. We received a terrific deal because it was in a decent area and a family was only searching for a duplex. They managed to purchase it. As a result, I was required to pay $160,000, which included $100,000 for renovations and $60,000 for the loan. I made a profit of $40,000 after paying $160,000. A very good thing is that I also receive alimony from both my ex-husband and the partner in the affair. In addition, my ex-parent-in-law were able to give me a little payout of $60,000. The person benefiting the most from this circumstance is me, since the harm I've experienced has been so severe that I've come to distrust people. I believe this is an acceptable request. At the start, I used my initial funds to learn the art of investing, with the goal of paying off my in-laws' debts as quickly as possible. I had a significant amount of cash to begin with, so I boldly invested tens of thousands of dollars. To my delight, within just a year, I saw my assets grow substantially, far beyond what I had anticipated. At the same time, I received a generous pay raise, which added to my financial stability. With careful planning and saving, I was able to take bold steps toward securing my future. In contrast, my ex-in-laws, who had deceived me and taken advantage of my kindness, ended up losing their home and falling into debt once again. It was a harsh consequence, but in my heart, I felt they deserved it for their dishonesty and greed. People like that, I believe, belong in a dark place of their own making. This experience taught me valuable lessons about trust and relationships. It also pushed me to reflect on how I can improve my interpersonal skills moving forward. From now on, I'll focus on saving money, growing my investments, and building a life filled with security and happiness. My ultimate goal is to enjoy a peaceful and fulfilling old age, surrounded by genuine people I can truly trust. What did you think of this story? If you enjoyed it and want to hear more fascinating tales, don't forget to subscribe to SoraBook. Together we'll explore many more inspiring and thought-provoking stories. I'll see you in the next video.